Hello students, today we are going to start chapter 3 of Flamingo, that is Deep Water. Deep Water has been written by William Douglas, who was born in Maine, Minnesota. After graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in English and Economics, he spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. However, he got tired of this and decided to pursue a legal career. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from Of Men and Mountains by William O. Douglas. It reveals how, as a young boy, William Douglas nearly drowned in a swimming pool, and in this essay, he talks about his fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcame it. See how the autobiographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. So, I hope by reading this about the author, you might have understood the theme on which this chapter is based. As you have already seen, this chapter, Deep Water, is an essay written by William Douglas, in which he shares about his fear of water and how he overcomes the fear with courage, hard work, determination, willpower, perseverance, and a strong desire to learn swimming. The theme covered in this chapter is fear and his triumph over it. It conveys the idea that fear is a great obstacle to our happiness and progress. It is a negative feeling which we can overcome by sheer willpower and optimism. So let's begin the chapter. It had happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. So you can see that I is the author here. So it is an autobiographical account of William Douglas. He is recalling an incident which occurred when he was 10 or 11 year old. I had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at the YMCA in Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. The Yakima River was treacherous. Treacherous means dangerous. Mother continually warned against it and kept fresh in my mind the details of each drowning in the river. So, William Douglas, as a 10 or 11-year-old boy, wanted to swim, and his mother warned him that he should not go to river Yakima because it is quite dangerous. And mother warned him that every year lots of drownings occur in the river. But the YMCA pool was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other. The drop was gradual. So the mother focused that if he really wanted to learn swimming, he can go to YMCA pool, which was safer in comparison to River Yakima. Moreover, it has a gradual slope, not a steep or sharp slope. So he took a pair of water wings and went to the pool. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs, but I subdued my pride and did it. So initially he didn't want to enter into the water naked because he was too skinny, but then he subdued his mm, pride of entering naked, and rather he did it. He entered the pool. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water when I was in it. So, right from the beginning, his initial years of his age, he had an aversion, a kind of fear from water. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and father took me to the beach in California. So, before going to YMCA pool, this is the incident which occurred in his life due to which he had developed aversion to water. And this incident it occurred when he was 3 or 4 years old, and he went to beach in California along with his father. He and I stood together in the surf. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. So while the child was along with the father, he was hanging on to his father, and a huge wave came and swept him down. Due to this, I was buried deep in water. My breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. His father knew that it was not dangerous, but a little child of 3 or 4 years, he got submerged in water, and thereafter he developed fear from water. So, this is the very first incident or misadventure which occurred in Douglas' life, due to which he had developed fear from water, which can be called hydrophobia. But it didn't become hydrophobia till now. One more incident has to come. My introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. So now, when he entered YMCA pool, those memories were revived. Those memories when he had submerged in waves, they revived, and again childish fears started banging over him. But in a little while, I gathered confidence. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. So, on the very first day, he was very much fearful, but then he tried to gather confidence and moved with his water wings, the accessories which are required for swimming. He tried with all that and tried to learn other boys tried to imitate. Aping is imitate or copy. Uh, and he had just become normal to the situation, to the circumstances. But then one more misadventure happened. I went to the pool when no one else was there. The place was quiet, the water was still, and the tiled bottom was as white and clean as a bathtub. I was timid about going in alone, so I sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. So the little boy, who was about 10 or 11 old, he was all alone at the pool, and water was still and tile bottom could be clearly visible. The water was quite clean. Child was also clean, normal in his mind. He had come there to learn, but he didn't enter into the pool all alone. He thought that let others come and then he would go and join. I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of a boy, probably 18 years old. He had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. He yelled, "Hi, Skinny, how would you like to be ducked?" So now, when this boy Douglas had been waiting there at the side of the pool, a big, that is 18-year-old boy, he came there. He had thick hair on his chest. He was like a grown up man. He was a beautiful physical specimen. That means he was a very smart, attractive, and had a sound body, because it's written that his legs and arms showed rippling muscles. So he had a muscular body, and he yelled, shouted, just wanted to be funny with the little child. "Hi, Skinny, how would you like to be ducked?" With that, but then he wasn't funny. With that, he picked me up and tossed me into the deep end. It's only not that he spoke like that, he did it practically. He picked up the child who was sitting there on the side of the pool and tossed him into the deep end that was 9 feet deep. I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. I was frightened, but not yet frightened out of my wits. On the way down, I planned, when my feet will hit the bottom, make a big jump, come to the surface, lie flat on it, and paddle to the edge of the pool. So the child had thought that he would do something, he would try some strategy to come out of water, because although he had entered into the water and swallowed a lot of water there, but he was not out of his wits. His mind was still working, and he thought, he planned a strategy that was what he would go down deep and would make a big jump, and if he makes a big jump, then he would come to the surface like a cork, and then he would be able to paddle to the edge of the pool. So this is the strategy what he had planned. When as soon as he would touch the bottom, he would do that. It seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more like 90, and before I touched bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. So here he could not judge that what is going to happen with him when he is going deep down, and he has lost his strength. His lungs started to burst. But when my feet hit bottom, I summoned all my strength. Summoned here means collected. So when he touched the bottom, he collected, gathered all his strength, and made what I thought was a great spring upwards. And he touched the bottom and jumped upwards. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork. He had thought that as soon as he would jump up, he would come to the surface. But he could not. Instead, I came up slowly. I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water. Water that had a dirty yellow tinge to it. So while he was sitting there on the side of the pool, the same water appeared to be clean and as plain as a bathtub. But now, when he was there inside the water and had a fear because he was trying his best but he was not able to come out, so same water appeared to be dirty, having a yellowish tinge, yellowish color. I grew panicky, so he became panicked in that situation. I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clutched only at water. He thought that he would come up and he would hold some rope on the side, but no, he could not come up to the surface. That's why when he clutched his hand, only water could be there. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Yell here means shout loudly. Then my eyes and nose came out of the water, but not my mouth. So, after a while, he could realize that his eyes have come out of water, nose also has come out of water, but mouth was still inside it, and through the mouth he was swallowing a lot of water again. I flailed at the surface of the water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. He thought that he would be able to bring his legs up, but then the legs appeared to be very much heavy and paralyzed as if they were not listening to his commands and got rigid. A great force was pulling me under. There was no such force actually, it was the gravitation. He was moving downwards. I screamed, he shouted again, but only the water heard me because he was shouting inside the water. His mouth was still inside. I had started on the long journey back to the bottom of the pool. And while once he has come upwards, up to his nose, he again started sinking down. I struck at the water as I went down. And when he went down, again he struck up at the base of the pool or the bottom, expending my strength as one in a nightmare fights an irresistible force. This line, nightmare, you all in your childhood might have seen nightmares. Nightmare is actually a bad dream. When while we are sleeping, we see some bad dream, and we try to gather all our strength in order to fight that invisible power, but we aren't able to. We want to shout loudly, we want to call our mother, but then what happens? We are shouting, our mouth is open, but then the voice is not coming out. So such nightmarish incident might have happened with most of you at your early childhood. So here he is trying to say that he collected strength just like he collected when he had fought with the nightmares. I had lost all my breath, but then his breath was lost and he was just hopeless. My lungs ached, pained, my head throbbed, A sensation, palpitating sensation started in his head. I was getting dizzy. Dizzy means unconscious, sleepy state. But I remembered the strategy, and still he remembered the strategy. And what is the strategy? I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cock to the surface. I would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms, and thrash with my legs. So, this is the strategy. He still remember it. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. I went down endlessly. So I opened my eyes. Nothing but water with a yellow glow. Dark water that one could not see through. And then sheer, stark terror seized me. So he had thought that he would apply the strategy and would come out of water, but then he could not. He had become breathless and he kept going down, and he could see that nothing but water was there. So a great terror seized him, captured him. Terror that knows no understanding, terror that knows no control, terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. I was shrieking underwater. He tried to shout, shriek loudly. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. Only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. So, after all these experiences, he could still realize that he was alive because of the heartbeat. And then, in the midst of the terror, came a touch of reason. And then he recalled that he had thought of a strategy. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. At last, I felt the tiles under me. My toes reached out as if to grab them. I jumped with everything I had. So, again, when he reached up to the bottom, his toes touched the bottom. He thought that he would jump, and yes, he jumped with everything. Everything here means all the strength which was still with him, which was still there in his body. But the jump made no difference. The water was still around me. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings. Nothing but water. He thought that he would clutch, grab hold of anything of these, but there was nothing, just water. A mass of yellow water held me. Stark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity. So now, when he could not get any of the objects which he could hold on, he felt more terrorized. I shook and trembled with fright. My arms wouldn't move, my legs wouldn't move. I tried to call help, to call for mother. Nothing happened. So we stop up to this, and the next page onwards, I'll be sending you the new video next day. Thank you.